Good afternoon, everyone. Good day. Hi. Yeah, so today we have a panel of 4 lecturers with us. We are really honored to have them come talk to us about their career progression and how they end up here. So, Ms Elaine, can you say hi? Dr Ditto, Ms Evone, and Dr Choy. Yeah, so our first question we have for you is, could you give us a brief summary of how did you end up here from college? Let's start with Ms Elaine.
I have no idea. Well, after university, I worked as a graduate tutor for a year and a half. Then I went to the UK to do my master's in social psychology. Stayed there for a couple of years, did some work with Starbucks and an NGO that deals with people with disabilities. And then Dr. Go offered me a lecturing position here, and so I came back. And that's how I ended up here.
Okay, now moving on to Dr. Ditto.
Okay, my college years, it's kind of long way back, and I finished that college by being dropped out. So I started my business when I was 19, and I got bankrupt when I was 21, and then started again because I still have options. Then got bankrupt again, then started again. Yeah, something like that. Then eventually I came up, I want to have something safer. So I started my career in education. I started a comic school. Yeah, so we teach kids how to draw, how to create stories and that. So it was quite good until I got bankrupt again, I don't know. So eventually my dad told me, this is because you didn't go to school. So eventually I went back to university and finished everything in less than 4 years for all the undergraduate, master and PhD. So I told my dad, okay, I have a PhD, but I still didn't get any job. So my dad said, then now it's time to find a job. Okay, right. So I think becoming a lecturer is a much safer idea.
Okay, that's an interesting story. What about Miss Evone?
I've always been interested in psychology since I was very young, like as young as I think 12 years old. I wrote in my, last time in Chinese school I asked you to write a 3-topic ambition, and I wrote psychology, so my teacher asked me, do you even know what this is? But when I was graduating from high school, psychology is something that's unheard of, not very popular, so I went to business degree, took a finance and economics degree, and came out working with the bank for like 4 years plus, and then I decided that this is still not something I wanted. It was like train to Busan, right? So for me it was like every day in the monorail to KL was like train to Busan for me because like so many flights. So I said that's not what I want. So I took another degree in psychology, finished it, I was still working. In the meantime, I was working with them as well with a conference producing company as well, doing research in conferences. Then after my degree, I came to health for a master's in clinical psychology. And so it was actually at the graduation ceremony that I approached Go and asked him, I said I'm very interested in lecturing, and so that's how I ended up here.
Okay. What about Dr. Choy?
I think I had a less exciting path than the rest of them. All my previous jobs have primarily centered around research or academia. So being, I guess, a research assistant or a lab volunteer, and of course being a graduate student, you also do TA jobs as well. So lecturing is kind of like a natural progression from there, and essentially that's how I ended up being a lecturer.
Okay.
For me, it was passion. So when I became a graduate tutor, I really found myself in a sense that it was difficult work, it was time-consuming work. We barely had any sleep some days. We'd stay back in the office until 8 or 9 o'clock. But it was a kind of stress that didn't make you not want to go to work. So it was a kind of stress that would easily go away when you had a really good conversation a student or had a meaningful conversation with a lecturer. So it was an environment that I found myself thriving in, even though it was very, very hard work. And I found that even across the years when I went to the UK and when I was working in a different industry, the thing I missed most was the conversations that you can have in an academic environment where everybody is learning oriented, where everyone is questioning, where you're thinking about things at a much deeper level than what you read on the news, for example. So I miss those so much that I realized that this was something that I was hopefully good at, but definitely something that I loved doing. So that's why when Dr. Go sent me that email, I was more than happy to jump at the opportunity. And with regard to teaching, I have had no regrets. So that's me. But that's kind of, I was lucky in that sense that I had the experiences that showed me very, very early on what I was passionate about.
So it makes it my turn. After I finished my study, my PhD, after I finished my master actually, that's at the same day I finished my service. So I found a job, and at the same time, one of the universities in Malaysia sent me an offer to get a PhD. They would pay me for a PhD, and the salary from the job I got and the scholarship, monthly allowance from the PhD, the scholarship was bigger, so it's a logical thing to choose to become a PhD. I mean, you got more money, and in the end of the contract, you get a PhD if you finish it. So eventually, I did that, and the academic life there is totally different from here. So I thought at the beginning academic life was like that, but I don't want to tell the details. But somehow because they paid us, so we were squeezed to produce journal articles every year, at least 2. So it was quite, that's how I ended up knowing more how to write than how to think. So eventually, after I finished my degree, I know that before I finish my PhD, I know that I need to find a job in the end. So my supervisor was a nice person, so he introduced me to, because you take PhD now, so it's good for you to become a lecturer later. So let me introduce you to, the big names in psychology in Malaysia. So eventually I met Dr. Ko, right? Wow, the president of something, so many presidents that I'd be like, because in my head, when I was in the business world, they said the most successful person is the one who's the busiest. So, this must be the most successful person. So I met Dr. Go in a conference, and Hal wasn't here, and he introduced me to the best student at that time. Well, the person might have forgotten that, but yeah, so yeah, I was like, oh, congratulations, and she's here now. So yeah, then I finished but Help did not accepted me right away, because at that time I haven't finished my PhD yet, and even after I finished, they didn't need people yet. So I kept applying every year. But meanwhile, I was involved in researches of education system in Malaysia, and that helped me to see that lots of things to do in education, at least in Malaysia. So yeah, I fell in love with research, and teaching is a mechanism that helped me stay in my age, because I deal with younger people, and I follow the way they live, what they like. So yeah, it works well for me, at least until now. Maybe Ms. Evone is a different story.
It was quite a tough choice to switch from banking, econs, finance to psychology because, economics term, financial terms, I need to cut costs, cut loss, and I felt I had to kind of give up that lifestyle because there's a very different lifestyle, that's, won't mention the detail what kind of lifestyle, but it's just very different. On hindsight, I think so far I've really not regretted this choice at all because there were certain things that I just, for me it's really a choice of what kind of lifestyle you want. I like the fact that, previously in some of the places I work, the way that we treat people sometimes may need to be a little different in order to get the work done. I didn't really like myself that way, being in that way of, being in such a way. I much prefer this environment in academia, in the lecturing, in the university environment where there's a lot of opportunity for growth, and you're in the industry where you are actually involved in helping other people to grow as well. It's a very different kind of work compared to what I did before, where it's a lot about competition, about getting things done. So I think this is more me. I'm more comfortable here, so I think that's one of the reasons that I kind of change. That makes me decide, to change my career. So of course, there's some parts of that I used to miss, especially when I was younger, but now maybe not so much. No, it's just that let's say in corporate world, there's a lot of things happening, like you go to parties, socializing, all those things. These are things that are quite colorful. But
We don't have enough parties, is what I'm saying, right?
we have good, deep, meaningful conversations.
Well, that's party now.
It makes us sound very dull and staid and old.
So
Let's parties, Evone, come on.
we have parties actually, yes.
The discussion.
Yes. Students have seen it too, I suppose.
I think maybe enough answers for this question.